By 7:18, the President's State of the Union address is topping the national news this morning. We heard from him a little earlier. Now, Maine Senator Angus King is weighing in with his thoughts on the address.
The senator joins us live from Washington, D.C. this morning. Good morning, Senator. How are you doing this morning? Late night for you, probably.
Good. It was a late night, but I got to tell you, Jennifer, it looks like Maine down here. There's snow on the ground and it's 15 degrees. Everybody can't figure out what to do.
So you still feel like you're in Maine, even though in Washington, D.C. So let's start off. Senator Susan Collins says she's very concerned about the president's willingness to circumvent Congress in an attempt to counteract gridlock in Washington. What's your reaction to the president's willingness to go around Congress?
Well, I'm concerned about that as well, although I must say there was a lot of discussion and pumping up of that issue before the speech, and actually in the speech he had a couple of places where he thought he might be able to do something by executive order, but it wasn't as big a deal as I expected. On the other hand, I think it is a concern. It's a dilemma. If I were in his shoes, he wants to get things done, and Congress right now isn't doing much, so he's at least going to try to nudge them in the right direction. But clearly, the way this thing ought to work is according to the Constitution. The president proposes and the Congress disposes. So I think I share Senator Collins' concern on that one.
Senator King, a lot of this comes down to politics when it comes to reaction to a speech like this, but Representative Dana Rohrabacher, a Republican from California, quote, "It was probably the most arrogant and belligerent speech I have ever heard a president give." What's your feelings on that comment? Do you see it that way?
No, I think that's nonsense. In fact, my reaction was that it was pretty non-confrontational, one of the less partisan State of the Unions that I've seen. He basically, he was confident, but I didn't think he was confrontational, and he was laying out what he thought the direction the country should move in. I mean, I was sitting amongst a group of Republican senators, and, this partisan thing I just don't get sometimes, because at one point in the speech he said, let's clean up the tax code and lower corporate tax rates and bring businesses back into the U.S. And, I had to elbow the Republican senator next to me saying, come on, man, he's singing your song. And, oh, well, okay. But, I think you take the president's ideas as they come and not just be so primed to be in opposition no matter what he says. I thought it was a strong speech. I think he was confident. He was comfortable. He made a couple of jokes, but I didn't think it was a particularly partisan speech. Frankly, I expected it to be more so.
Well, staying on partisan politics, immigration reform, however, seems to be moving forward. The president got a long ovation last night when he talked about this subject. What is your stance on this, and where do you think this will go forward?
Well, both Senator Collins and I voted for the bipartisan immigration bill in the Senate, and I think there's some indication that it will go forward to some extent in the House. The House members seem to be talking about providing some kind of legal status for people that have come into the country, but not a path to citizenship, and that's the big difference that I think will be between the two houses and between the Congress and the president. So we're just going to have to see how that plays out in the House this year. I think there will be something in the House. Whether it will be a whole package, I think, is probably doubtful. But clearly, I think the president sees it as a priority. And I thought he made a good case last night that what we really want is people's ideas and good thinking, and that's what made this whole country what it is. I just, we're sitting here in the Congress, and except for the African Americans who were brought here against their will, or the Native Americans, every single person in that room last night are the son or daughter of immigrants. And for us to be saying, well, we don't want any more people, we don't want any more immigrants, I just don't think makes sense for the country.
All right, we know it was a late night for you, an early morning as well. Senator King, we always appreciate your time. Have a great day, and thanks for your time this morning.
Well, great to be
7:20.